Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I will be going over 30 more things wrong with this absolutely awful, beyond garbage, bottom of the toilet book, Voices by the late fraud Beatrice Sparks. This is based off of a blog post I published on the 26th of September 2025. This will be my last main post going over what's wrong with the book, and then I'll have two separate videos going in depth in the repulsive, beyond, it's horrible, the homophobia and Hindu phobia in this book. They're so awful they merited their own separate takedowns in a blog post and videos. In the blog post talking about the 30 more things wrong with this book in depth to bring it up to 50 is called An Endless Supply of Bad Writing and Misinformation. Now, I did do separate videos on the 5 chapters, but Beatrice Sparks, there's so many other things wrong with it. I just decided to focus on the main plot lines as they were in the different chapters, instead of going into detail on every single thing wrong with it, because then every video would have been 40 minutes long. So anyway, let's just start getting down with it. Dr. Fraud's bottom of the toilet book of Voices is rancid, that's saying the least, from start to finish. Every single thing about this literary offering is inaccurate, offensive, stupid, or just plain poorly written. Let's continue ripping into it. Number 21. Why in blazes did she present these stories as interviews if they're nothing but long monologues? And that's one of the things she was called out for in the very, very few critical reviewers who discussed this book when it was published in the 1978. A book told in interview format should be written like a screenplay or like a regular play, not first-person stories. What was going on upstairs? The characters, particularly Jane, awkwardly repeat back the pretended questions and statements as though Dr. Fraud never read or listened to any interviews. I mean, it's easy, just any news magazine, for example, Time, Newsweek, Life magazine. I don't think that's published anymore, but whatever, magazines that frequently have interviews in them, or look at a newspaper, or just go to watch on television someone being interviewed. And I've watched a lot of interviews from the USC Visual History Shoah Foundation, and you just see the normal interview format. Oh, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood? What was it like growing up in city name or town name or whatever? Tell me about your relationship with your parents. And then basically the questions are jumping off points, and when the interview feels like it's necessary, or they didn't understand, or they want to clarify something, they'll just, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Something like that, not just blab, 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 talking heads. That's not how an interview works. And it seems like she kind of forgot these were supposed to be interviews, because there's not too much repeating back of the questions in the first 3 chapters. And then she gets to Jane oh crap, I totally forgot these are supposed to be interviews with the kids. And now Jane is going to awkwardly repeat back everything I'm saying. But let me answer your questions. How were things when I was a little kid? I know you're interviewing lots of kids here. After Sunday school, when we didn't go for donuts, were we rich? Oh crap, I'm trying so hard not to think about it and pretending it didn't really happen. You haven't asked me about the things I don't want to tell you. I grew up as a good member of the Church of Blank. We know that's a stand-in for Mormonism. One of their church's official name is the Church of Denomination instead of the Denomination Church. I never did like school. I hated the slow dances in junior high. I don't remember exactly when I got sucked into sex. That's an unintentionally hilarious metaphor. I had been that way about drugs. Mommy was alarmed. I had a cast iron stomach. I'm trying so hard to be straight now. She means straight edge, not straight, heterosexual, but she is a heterosexual. Did I ever feel guilty? And then when we get to the 2 years later update, it's even more cringy. This is how exactly no one ever talks. Oh, wow. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Sure, I'd like to go out to lunch with you. Meet you in front at 1 minute after 12. That's an very oddly specific time. Do I like being a beauty operator? I've never heard that expression anywhere. It sounded like an old-timey slang for prostitute, or a call girl, or an escort, but apparently it's just like a hairdresser, a nail technician, an esthetician, a cosmetologist. But The whole format of the book is totally jacked. Number 22. By the 1970s, the vocative O, just like, capital letter O, like no other words, no other letters in that word. And so, anyway, that had long since become archaic and replaced by O, like OH, like what we all know outside of poetry. It sticks out awkwardly and pulls me out of the story, like such as it were, every time she writes, for example, "Oh God," or "Oh no, I had wronged my darling mama and stepdada." Like, seriously, like, this is just so goofy and pretentious. Like, I mean, I don't even think many people doing poetry these days still write just like capital O as, instead of OH. It's just harkening back like you're trying to channel the spirit of like romantic poets or something from the 19th century. Number 23. I have to laugh at the tagline on the paperback edition. "This is adolescence as combat zone." That's from the Kirkus reviews. Only in the minds of adults completely out of touch with modern teens. These characters all sound like prissy goody-goodies with implausibly over-the-top problems, as a reviewer on Amazon and Goodreads said. And they all sound like one another. And oh, surprise, that means they all sound like 60-year-old at the time Beatrice Sparks, an ultra-conservative, out-of-touch Mormon who's like trying to sound like a punk teenager. "I'm hardened, I'm hardcore, I'm punk, I'm down with the kids. Man, what a grocer. The dad-gummed donkey just wouldn't move." Number 24. Dr. Fraud constantly puts random words and phrases in quotes. "Well, I think I'm pretty with it these days. Oh, I love the girls shaking their little booties." Yes, she actually writes booties, not booties. Like, seriously, she couldn't spell either. Number 25. She capitalizes random words too, not just the words for parents and grandparents when they're used as common nouns. I got into that in, I think, pretty much all the other videos. For example, Mark keeps talking about pills called capital R Reds. Like, is this like a brand name or something? Although she did love using brand names instead of generic terms. Like, for example, and it happened to Nancy, they're always using like, oh, Kotex or Kleenex or Tampax instead of just saying tampon, like pad, sanitary napkin, like a tissue. Like, it's so out of touch again. Number 26. The cover is so lame. Just like, no, check out this, as Rick Emerson said in his wonderful book Unmask Alice, which I've read twice now. It's about as like threatening and like street hardcore as a Bee Gees album cover. Like, no insult to the Bee Gees, but you know what I mean. It's just like, who sees this and thinks, "Oh wow, this is going to be a hardcore, harrowing tale of teen runaways and troubled adolescence. Oh wow, oh, that joint in the jeans pocket really did that one for me." Absolutely. How absolutely hardcore and rebellious. The paperback cover sucks too. 4 faces in profile that look almost identical. Number 26. And I'm sorry, number 27. Each chapter has the obligatory preachy sermon about kids these days. How adults just don't understand how teens are susceptible to drugs, booze, sex, cults, and depression because they're scared, confused, and hurting. She's constantly gasping on about hurting kids. How predictable they all sound, like the words of an out-of-touch, ultra-conservative 60-year-old Mormon instead of real teens, like, for example, near the end of Mark's Dragva story. That felt like it was like 250 pages long instead of only 77. He's just like ranting on, "Oh, they just don't understand. I went to love people, blah, blah, blah. When it tried it mostly was something at hand to try it with." He was trying methods of trying to unalive himself. "It's no good for parents to say like mine did. Oh, come on, snap out of it. Start smiling." Very Mormon, smile and keep sweet. "Start looking at the good side and all that stuff because you really can't control it. Honest, you can't. At least I couldn't, and I think I'm average and normal. But then again, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just wanting to unalive myself. Been nowhere going, nowhere crazy that really ought to be locked up. But I hope not. Honest to God, I hope not. Life really is strange. I wonder if it's just in our American culture that there seem to be the constant battles going on. Not people working together, oh no, or even trying to work together, but the dumb kids hating and resenting the smart kids, the big jocks making swipes at the not so coordinated, not so popular kids, and oh hell, the whole school grant. Maybe the whole world is one giant battlefield. Whatever happened to brotherly love? Love thy neighbor as thyself. I want to wub people. I want them to wub and respect me. I wonder if deep down inside everyone else feels the same way, afraid and hurt and lonely. I wonder if I'll ever find the right way to follow, or if there is a right way. Man, that sounds great. Everyone knows that the more kids are by far today are from broken homes than there are from complete ones. Again, throwing the shade on divorce. It's no longer a family thing in parents' lives. It's a me thing. Everybody thinking only about their own libido, said every 15-year-old ever, and their own successes and fulfillments. To hell with everybody and anybody else that might get in their way, including their kids. Oh, here it is again, the vocative oh dear God. I wish I had people I love and could trust here, like Lee and Tim and Todd. Now I'm beginning to sound like those crazy Hare Krishna slobs I met in New Mexico, and I will be getting into the Hindu phobia in the future video. But maybe they're right. Maybe they really do have the answers, and I was just like what I'm condemning adults for, too engrossed in their orange robes and their cuckoo haircuts, nice Hindu phobia, to see what they are really all about deep down inside. I wasn't really listening, not really wanting to hear when I talked to them. Actually, I guess everybody else at first was trying to trip up their concepts, trying to belittle or confuse their thinking. And even I didn't talk like this as a teen, and I was like, you could probably accuse me of sounding like pretentious in many of my own journal entries, trying to belittle or confuse their thinking, not willing to accept it if it doesn't fit in exactly with my own. Whoa! Man, I'm just as much of a screwed up pooper as all the people I've been so down on. Wow. This book is so terrible, as someone on Goodreads said. This is great to read aloud while drunk. It's just that bad, that bottom of the toilet. Number 28. No real person being interviewed pulls out a verbatim 4-paragraph quote or detailed facts and figures. In what I was just reading, Mark exactly quotes Gerald Ford talking about National Family Week. I just have no words. Did she actually believe anyone would think, oh yeah, a 15-year-old boy, he remembers what President Ford said exactly in an impromptu interview? He wasn't rehearsing, and here it is, the exact word for word long quote from President Ford in the other chapters. Oh, so many kids are trying to unalive themselves these days. Look at these detailed statistics I'm pulling out of my ass. Number 29. Language used in real interviews isn't so formal and pretentious with such vivid level of recall. That's, again, a reason many interviewers, they have to, not prompt so much, but I guess draw out further, ask for more details. Oh, could you tell me more about why you liked Mrs. Name, your 7th grade algebra teacher? Or can you tell me more about your friends? What kinds of things did you like to do in the summer when you saw your grandparents? Things like that. It's not just, oh, I'm just talking like it's a fictional. Well, it is a fictional, first person story, not an interview. It's like she totally forgot her own alleged format. Number 30. What the hell normal teen voluntarily reads about National Family Week? Loser. Let alone is super excited about it. That's in the Mark chapter. And I say this as someone who had very atypical interests as a teen, following Russian politics. My father had. He was kind of making fun of me about that. Oh, the Russian presidential election. Yeah, imagine that. I'm interested in things beyond teen pop culture. I've never been with the crowd, but getting back to the National Family Week, find me one normal, well-adjusted teen in the history of ever was yeah, that sounds like an awesome idea. Spending time with my family. Yeah, hanging out with mama and dada and siblings. That's going to be so much more fun than hanging out with other teenagers and my friends, or being by myself reading a good book or writing. Yeah, families hang out together. That's so cool and fun. Yeah, I'm not going to get my ass kicked at school for saying that. Number 31. How the hell are junior high kids supposed to be getting pornographic magazines? That raises so many questions. Are they supposed to be getting them sent to a false address and intercepting the mail, or at someone else's address they're using and raiding the mailbox early in the morning? Are they stealing it from a newsstand? Are their parents supposed to have the magazines? Which that's Dr. Fraud, she was very inconsistent. Oh, the parents are reading porn, and and that's how the kids got it. Oh, but the parents don't know what the kids are really up to, even though they're apparently have porn magazines in the house. So many unanswered questions. Number 32. Do I lump them all together as equally lowbrow, vulgar, and disgusting? You need your head examined if you truly believe Playboy, which is pretty tame, particularly these days, is nearly on the same tawdry level as Hustler or Penthouse. Now, I am anti-porn as a second wave, mostly radical feminist, but the reasons for that way too long and complex to get into here. But again, even I can recognize when it comes to dirty magazines like Playboy, that's pretty soft core. It has like interviews with all those people. That's one of the things people know about it, besides the Playboy, the centerfold of the month. Like Hustler and Penthouse, like way more like disgusting and degrading and misogynistic. And I forgot to mention in this, like, why are the girls getting turned on and worked up for their supposed pornographic dances by looking at magazines intended for heterosexual men? That's just like, she did not understand anything about human sexuality. Number 33, Dr. Fraud is morally outraged by sex toys like vibrators. Oh no, oh, that's just the height of depravity. Oh no, no one ever heard of a vibrator until the modern era. Calling them kinky sexual devices. Yeah, that's why do I have so many vintage ads in my various collections for vibrators, like well before like the sexual revolution, promoting like, oh, self-massage for women. Oh, it's a healthy device. Give yourself a good invigorating muscle massage. And it's like out in the open in respectable magazines, like for example Cosmo, way before it went into being like, oh, 101 sex tips. We're rewriting them every single month, so it sounds like it's a brand new article. In all of her books, she condemns any sex that's not missionary. Lights out, under the covers, in the dark, with a spouse, is inherently gross and vulgar. Oh, ew, kinky, animalistic, nasty. Oh, I'm having a moral crisis. Oh, I hate myself so much. I'm having a complete psychological meltdown because, ew, sex, gross. She had no idea what she was missing. It makes me, well, I don't want to get too much into detail about it, but it just makes me wonder, like, she must have been like absolutely so repressed. You know, Mormons are kind of like that. Number 34, these teens speak with the usual unrealistic self-reflection and mental maturity of all Dr. Fraud characters, as though they're 50 years old and looking back on how they were decades ago. Oh yeah, I thought I was such a smartass who had the whole world figured out, and I knew better than my precious mama and dada, but chips, oh god, I'm just a smartass teen. I'm only 15. I thought I knew better than everyone, but I don't really. I should have left my precious mamala and papala take care of everything and guide me with their wonderful morals. Like, seriously. Number 35. Dr. Fraud depicts Catholics as unable and unwilling to answer any questions about Jesus. Yeah, tell me you've never done any research about Catholics without telling me you've never done any research about Catholics. Not only does this display a huge amount of ignorance, it's also really rich coming from someone whose own religion spends way more time talking about their founder than Jesus. I mean, I don't really know much of like, anything in detail about like most of the Protestant denominations, but like from what I do know, I don't really think they're constantly praising and like gassing on about their founders like Mormons. With they have an actual hymn called Praise to the Man, and that story I've told in several videos. A nursery teacher for ages 3 to 4 in December, she asked the kids like a question like you don't even have to be Christian to like know the answer to immediately. Hey kids, it's December, a very important person with a birthday is coming up. Can you tell me who it is? And they all say Jesus, and she's like, oh, he's important too, but I was talking about someone even more important, our precious holy saintly founder Joseph Smith. If that does not tell you like everything you need to know about Mormonism, I don't know what does. Number 36. Just as Dr. Fraud skips the long, slow, gradual process of cult indoctrination in Mary's story, she also speeds along the grooming timeline in Millie's story. It takes way more than 2 months before the average groomer makes that first sexual overture, and it's usually not full-on statutory SA until more grooming has occurred. Like, seriously. Number 37, WTF kind of father thinks nothing of his 13-year-old daughter hugging and kissing his new girlfriend. She calls it a little soul kiss. I don't know if that means a French kiss or something. Followed by the girlfriend hugging her back and saying, I do think I'm going to like your little girl a whole lot. Again, all these parents are just, is that a red flag? I don't think so. I'm too involved in my own life to notice or care or recognize red flags. I'm just going to keep letting my child go to rack and ruin because parents these days are out of touch with the kids. Number 38. X-rated movies weren't inherently pornographic in the 1970s. Like, you should know that. Like, you don't even have to have watched them to know what an X rating meant back in the day. They were serious films with mature content. In 1990, NC-17 replaced X, and she also talks about like double X and triple X, and those are not like official ratings. It's just basically like you're unofficially thinking of like porn is triple X. But like I couldn't find a single like actual film that's rated like, you know, double X. I mean, I wasn't looking on porn sites or anything, but just like a standard Google, and people were like asking the same question: is XX a real thing? What films have been rated XX? And officially, I guess it means more soft core, but like in actual reality, I don't think anyone really does like rate a film unofficially or not XX. And as I heard explained many like, years ago, maybe like 20 plus years at this point, about like why aren't there XX films and like an urban legend busting book or something? Now that you have the XXX rating, and the X is for like serious mature films like A Clockwork Orange or Midnight Cowboy, who's going to say their movie isn't sexy enough by rating it only XX? So number 39, like Crybaby, Red Flag Lawrence, and Kim Empty Inside. I hated that dude. Mark II is traumatized by his parents being atheists. Oh no, that's a personal insult to me. Wah. He quickly jumps from saying they told him and Katie, his little sister, they could all believe what they wanted, like, and cared less, to claiming mommy and daddy made him feel guilty for wanting to pray. Like, what? Number 40, Dr. Fraud blames their atheism on living in New York. That's so laughable. Can't miss an opportunity to castigate big cities as dens of sins and inequity. She does this in all of her books. Number 41, why in the world would anyone think only ugly women are into casual sex? Mark feels sick to his stomach when a really hot chick he was crushing on decides to, or asks a guy, or like gets solicited to have casual sex. Man, I thought only ugly chicks wanted to do that. I'm so sick, and I want to vomit because a hot girl is wanting to have premarital sex and do something like a casual one-night stand. Oh, what is the world coming to? Number 42, it's beyond vile and self-hating, total misogyny, how Dr. Fraud constantly uses the term on the rag. What? To describe women who aren't unnaturally smiling and keeping sweet. Can we please end the sexist stereotype about menstruation causing women to become angry, overly emotional, and irrational? Like, seriously, there's just so much to unpack. Number 43. It's ridiculous to depict Jane as becoming an insatiable horn dog after having sex just once. That's not how it works. Teen sex is notoriously awkward. Like, not that I would know from personal experience, having been a virgin until my 20s, but like still, like everyone says, like even if you really like the person, it's a long-term serious relationship, you've talked about it before you did it, you did a lot of preparation, you have birth control, whatever, like you're planning to maybe get married after you're in college or something, whatever, even if like all those things are going for the relationship and the having sex for the first time, it's still awkward because you're teenagers, you don't know what you're doing yet, it's a brand new experience, and it's hardly the mind-blowing stuff of romance novels and erotica, and even adults having sex together for the first time, it can be awkward. Many people say there's two first times, the first physical time and the first time it really starts feeling emotional, and you like become more confident and comfortable and really start to like know what you're doing. Heterosexual intercourse, which Jane is doing throughout her chapter, also frequently hurts for the female partner in the beginning. I shouldn't have to explain why, particularly if her partner fails to warm her up, and or they don't use lube. Enough said about that. Number 44. How are we supposed to believe Jane essayed a 12-year-old boy when a male needs an erection to have that kind of sex? That's why in so many jurisdictions you need to be a male to commit that act, because it requires a certain type of equipment, whether you're doing it to another male or a female. Even if she were able to physically overpower him, which again is a huge stretch, like men, even like younger, like teenage boys or preteens, they have more physical like strength than female bodies. So many people have forgotten there are thousands of differences between the two sexes and how our like bodies are built. And so even if she had been able to physically overpower him, that wouldn't mean anything in the absence of an erection. Number 45. Who the hell injects heroin in the head and rough of the mouth? That's in Mary's story when Gentle is showing her heroin injection scars. They're like thick mottled rocks on her head and on the rough of her mouth and on her groins and her legs and her arms. Like, I have no words for that idiocy. Number 46. As in all of Dr. Fraud's other books, everything is way too textbook, like ticking off items on a checklist, rather than depicting realistic people and situations. Number 47. It's gross and rapey for guys to rub their erections against girls at school school dances, but that's hardly what I describe as pornographic dancing. That would be more like strip club moves and getting naked on the dance floor. And Jane says the kids are constantly practically getting it on, again with the random quotes on the dance floor, but she only mentions the dudes rubbing erections against the girls. So like, again, what exactly are they doing? Are they like kissing on the dance floor? What she just like would throw stuff out and expect people to, oh, I guess that must be the truth, even though you didn't detail it in the mind of a mauling Mormon. Anything that's not 1,000,000% vanilla and G-rated is inherently gross and nasty and crude and animalistic, and you're just going to outer darkness. Number 48. Jane's buddy Duke decides to go straight, but his new haircut, clean-shaven face, and job still anger his dad, who can't stop griping about him not being the right type of Peter Priesthood. Like, the what? Duke starts doing drugs again and soon dies of an overdose. Like, what? And when I was looking back over this in chapter 5, I was starting to think, okay, maybe I misinterpreted it. Maybe he didn't have a job. She's just talking about like, he's like going straight edge. When she says his personal renovation job, like, who talks like that? Duke once said he got fed up with our going nowhere thing and decided to go straight. He made an appointment to have his greasy long hair and beard cut, and even bought some new clothes. But that very night, his capital D dad started climbing the walls again about the way he dressed, and his hair and beard and sleazy friends. And he had to give up his whole personal renovation job. Like, is she talking about an actual, like, money-making job, or the cleaning up the way he looks? Like, what? That's a really weird expression. He felt it would have made him lose face with himself to do what he really wanted to do under his old man's pressure. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's the way some kids think. That very night, Duke started into really heavy doping. About 3 weeks later, he OD'd. I wanted to tell his parents, but I didn't know whether it would make them feel better or worse, more responsible or less, so of course I did nothing. That was in the old days. I was completely self-centered, selfish, and unprincipled, as well as had a super negative outlook in RA, rotten attitude, and a putrid personal profile. Wow, this book sucks ass. Number 49. Why does Sandy tell the whole school Mark tried to unalive himself, and why does everyone begin laughing and bullying him for that? Again, everything but the kitchen sink is stuffed into that chapter. It's like so hard to believe it. I mean, obviously it was fiction, but if I thought like back in the day when I was like more naive about this, like I'm really questioning, could all this really have happened? Like, seriously? Number 50. Why would Sandy feel illegitimate because her mother is living with a boyfriend? Teens in the 70s didn't have such Victorian attitudes, and so if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you very much. There are so many other things I could say that are wrong with this book, but so little time. I want to make videos about many other subjects as well, and I did pretty much go over all the other stuff in the prior videos about this book, like, for example, the trashing and lying about what feminism actually is in the married chapter, and like so many other rancid things, just capping it in at 50. And I will do the 2 upcoming videos about the homophobia and the Hindu phobia and much more greater detail. So thanks again very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.